We're here in Whistler and we're checking out Remy Metallier's Cube 215 Pro Bike. At the heart of the bike is an aluminium frame. It's a size medium and it's running a 63-degree head angle and a 415mm reach. Out back it's a 436mm chainstay and the whole wheelbase is 1221mm. Keeping the rear end suspended is a DVO Jade shock and it's running a 450-pound spring. It's a tie spring on this bike. Remy likes to run it with quite a bit of compression to cope with the sort of riding he does. And interestingly, he doesn't run too much rebound on a day-to-day basis, only really for those big hits and the special stunts he does. It's running 22% sag out back. Up front, it doesn't really monitor the sag, it's all done by feel. The fork itself is a DVO Onyx prototype, running 200mm of travel. It's boost spacing up front with a proper 20mm bolt-through axle. Up at the business end of the bike, Remy's running a Raceface Carbon Bar. That's a 755mm width with a 35mm rise. Prefers the carbon over alloy just for the flex and comfort it gives for the sort of harsh riding he does. And it's a Raceface Atlas 50mm stem and he runs it with a single spacer underneath the top crown and the forks dropped as much as they can for maximum height. Got ODI Lock-Ons and it's got the Trp Quadiem brakes, which are the same model as made famous now by Aaron Gwynn. So there's a 7-speed transmission on here, based around the E13 cassette, and it's got a tiny 9-tooth sprocket on the bottom, ranging up to a 21-tooth. It's a KMC 11-speed chain wrapped around a 34-tooth Raceface chainring. Interestingly, the cranks he runs are carbon and 170mm, so that's something cool we're going to ask him about in a minute. And he's running X2 pedals on there. As you might notice, he's only running pins in the back of the pedal as well. So that's something cool we're going to pick up on. And another cool fact, he's only running the chain guide on the top. So there's less friction in that and he's never lost the chain, so he doesn't feel the need to have a lower guide. So there's a carbon fibre Raceface I-beam style seat post on here and it's fully slammed in the frame with a Raceface Atlas saddle. The saddle itself is really cool, it's got the Garbanzo graphics for Whistler Bike Park on the top. And Remy's cut a section out of the back to avoid tyre buzz. He's also got the saddle pitched up quite a lot at the front and that's so you can pinch it between the knees for a bit more comfort and stability. So keeping the bike rolling along are E13 LG1 Plus carbon wheels. Up front it's boost spacing, so that's 110. Out back it's 157. They're set up tubeless and they're running on Maxxis DHR and DHF tyres. It's running 29 pounds in the rear and 26 on the front. That's pretty standard, but it will vary that depending on exactly what he's riding and the conditions. Okay Remy, so with your riding style and all the crazy videos you do, those insane jumps and lines, firstly really want to know about your suspension, how you set it up. So you said that you run it with 22% sag out back, but can you tell me a bit more about the rebound damping, because you need a hell of a lot of control for the way you ride?
Yeah, so I have like very little sag. What I normally do is, especially on that bike, but every other bike I had before, I normally run a lot of high-speed compression. So it's almost fully closed on this one.
Wow. And
depending what I do, I close the rebound quite a lot. So closing the rebound gets you, I feel, more control. Yeah. So if you get like very big landings or successive landings, a bit of a slower rebound will help you to keep control.
Sure.
So on my everyday riding, I actually ride, I'll say, regular to fast rebound.
Sure.
But if I want to do just one special gap or something like Rampage, I'm gonna run a slower rebound than usually.
Yeah, and how does this work with the front? So you said that you don't tend to run sag or pay attention to the actual sag setting, you just do it by feel, is that correct?
Yeah, I do by feel. So when I get a new fork, so this is a prototype. So when I got it, in order to set it up, I put the air pressure, I just try on the parking, see if that feels right, then I go riding. And so I start by the air pressure, so first thing I do is making sure I can use the full length of, like the full travel of the suspension when I actually need it. Even though I like to really have issue to use the last centimeter of travel, I like to keep it for like really extra.
Ramp up.
Yeah. So then once this, when I consider I have the right pressure, I control the progressivity of suspension with the volume spacer. So inside that cap. And once I'm happy with the progressivity and the pressure, I play with the high speed and low speed compression. Especially on that fork, it's very easy adjustment. There's 7 clicks of low speed, and so obviously more on the high speed. And then for the rebounds, I make sure that the front is matching with the rear. And the rebound depends a lot, obviously, on the pressure.
Do you vary the settings depending on what you're riding, like the bike park or rampage maybe?
Yeah, exactly. So my setting for my everyday riding, like jumps and you know, technical, is very different from like rampage. At rampage, I'm gonna go up in pressure. I'm gonna have the fork a bit more progressive for like the very big impact. I'm going to slow down the rebound and run more high speed and more low speed compression.
What about the rear end? Do you change that much as well?
Yeah, so right now I'm riding a 450, which is what I ride like 95% of the time. But for rampage, the landing are so brutal. I have also 500 spring, and I might go to a 550 as well.
Okay, so you're running 170mm cranks. That's quite unique for a downhill bike to have that. Do you not find you strike on the ground quite a lot?
Yeah, so usually people run 165. I prefer 170 because that gives me some extra power. Like power is definitely not my strength, so if I can get some more help with longer cranks, I take it. And no, like the platform of the bike doesn't dive too much, even though the bottom bracket is low.
It sits up quite high.
Yeah, it sits up still quite high, which is nice. So I never actually smash the cranks. So I keep it with 170.
And also notice you're not running any pins in the front of your HT pedals there, they're only on the rear.
No, so I run the pins only on the back, and I think it gives me like a better, like I can clip more easily, for engagement, and the pins on the back allows me as well to get some extra grip on the pedal, but not too much.
And how tight do you run the jaws on there? Do you run it quite firm or loose?
Well, it depends obviously. When the clips are new and stuff, I guess I run it pretty loose, but when I wear the cleats, which I prefer, like I like to have like a bit worn out cleats, I tie the pedal a bit more.
And also notice you're not running a chain guide on the bottom. That's pretty rare on a downhill bike as well.
No, because now with the clutch rear there and the suspension system of that bike and the narrow wide, like the Raceface narrow wide, I noticed that I didn't need it. So less friction, so it's easier to pedal, a bit lighter, less maintenance. So yeah, I don't choose the bottom one. So
tell me about your wheel setup and tyres. So you said you got 29 pounds on the rear, is that right, and 26 in the front?
Yeah, so 95% of the time I'll ride 29 on the back, 26 on the front, for everyday riding, like pretty much everywhere. On some extreme situation, I can go down in tire pressure if it's like a very, very slow technical trail where you want like the maximum grip. I can go down up to 27 PSI on the back and about 23, 24 on the front. And
also tell me a bit about your brake setup. So you run your levers quite high, but I noticed they don't pull too far to the bar. Quite a lot of downhill riders like them to come really close to the handlebars.
This is like pretty much the lowest setup I will go, because lately I've been doing like more jumps and not very steep and technical riding. But if I race some downhill events, I might go even higher, so I can rest a bit more my front arms.
So that was Remy Metallier's Pro Bike Check. If you want to check out some more great bikes, check out G Atherton's Pro Bike Check down here.
And Blake's Pro Bike down here.
And don't forget to click on the middle here to subscribe. There's a brand new video every single day. And of course, if you like the bike, give us a thumbs up.